Time moved quickly at Downton. Wars, epidemics, the rise of women's rights. These weren't just storylines, they were echoes of the world we lived through.
But that world is gone now, so everyone keeps saying.
Even a place as timeless as Downton Abbey must evolve.
This really is the night that shook the world.
In today's episode, my guests reflect on how, in the grand finale, we witness a true changing of the guard.
That was then and this is now.
One that some characters embrace better than others. I'm Jacqueline Coley, and this is Downton Abbey, the official podcast. First up, I sat down with Mrs. Patmore herself, the one and only Leslie Nichol. Mrs. Patmore, thank you for being here.
You said it American-y.
Oh, yeah, Mrs. Patmore. Sorry, you're right. Excuse me, Mrs. Patmore.
Mrs. Patmore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Texan does come out.
I know, it sure does.
I'm sure. Do it again.
No. I'm too scared.
Thank you for being here. I'm so excited, and you've already made me laugh, which is actually very fitting because Mrs. Patmore has made me laugh over the entire series. Yeah. What do you love most about playing her?
Oh, gosh. I mean, he's written such a great character. And I love the layers that are there. She's not just one thing. At the beginning of the whole thing, she just seemed to be a bitch, let's be honest. Well, why didn't you telephone and warn us, you daft ape? Shouting at people, shouting at little Daisy.
I know.
Getting in a state. And there's good reason for that, because it's in reality, this is a woman under great pressure. You know, as people said over the years, you can't do a really bad meal at Downton Abbey. Well, I know what's expected of me. Food. You too, Daisy. So less philosophy, more elbow grease. But as you've got to know her over the years, and the relationship that happened with Daisy, and Mrs. Hughes, and then to an extent Mr. Carson, there's a bond that grew, and it did on and off screen, actually.
Yeah.
Very, very strongly. So I love that you see her being vulnerable. And that's just great, because we're all that. We're none of us one thing, are we?
Yeah. No, definitely.
And I love her sense of humor. She's funny.
And observe it. It was like, the problem with you people is you're not in love with right
that's
first.
Right, that's
like,
right.
That was
when she said to Daisy, he's not a ladies' man. And she just didn't get it. But Julian used to say, the writer used to say, sort of Maggie, wonderful Maggie had the kind of upstairs one-liners, and I was given a lot of the downstairs ones.
Daisy, what's happened to you? I said you could go for a drink of water, not a trip up the Nile.
One thing that's interesting with this final chapter, it's called the grand finale, but it also feels a bit like a beginning, because there's so many folks that are really...
New chapters.
Yeah, somebody else is taking over. The one thing I will say is Mrs. Patmore is probably one of the only folks who I think is having a rational response. You know what I mean? Like, if you're looking at someone like what's happening with Robert, in a little bit, Mr. Carson, you know what I mean? Mr. Mosley, he's going through new changes.
Yeah.
And all of them are dealing with them with varying levels of success.
True.
Except for Mrs. Patmore.
Well, I think she's just found something she's never had in her entire life. And remember, this is an elderly woman. Very late in life, something has come along that's spectacularly different and meaningful and fabulous. And so although giving up her past life, which she's had for so many years, is bound to be a bit challenging, what she's going to, although it's unknown and a little bit scary, it's just full of love and support and the kind of thing she's never had, really. She's never had somebody like that in her life, and now it's come at the most wonderful time when she would have to retire. She's of an age where she has to.
Oh, Mr. Mason, these are happy times, getting your wife back.
Oh, it is. But she'll miss all of you.
It'll be odd to cook for two instead of 22, and in silence rather than the running commentary.
Talk a little bit about this next chapter for her and what you think she's going to get to explore in this new chapter with Mr. Mason.
Well, it just seems to me when I saw the movie, you see them together, there's an ease. There's something, or in real life where you say, your friend meets somebody and you go, oh, this is right, this is good, this looks very effortless.
Yeah.
And that's what it looks like to me, that they're kindred spirits. You know, he really does rather need her and she really does rather need him. Yeah. And they really like each other and they've liked each other for a very long time. But he's showing her some attention, the like of which she's never had.
Yeah.
I think we used to kind of try and guess what her love life might have been. And I think we think it's pretty much zero.
Well, you're right. I've never lived with Mr. Mason. Not properly. Not yet.
Oh.
I'm nervous. If he should want us to, and from what he said, I think he might.
You mustn't be nervous.
Why not?
Because it's terrific fun.
But with the way I think it with Mr. Mason, he was literally just like, I enjoy this woman and
Yeah.
her company and her
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But let's be real, that's not a bad way to retire as a farmer. Do you know what I mean?
That's true.
Like, listen, he's
That's
going to be
true.
getting
But
like.
when relationships really gel and really work, it's a team, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I think they
exactly.
have a makings of a great team, and I think he will see the lovelier side of her.
Like, I think that his reward for being just Mr. Steal Your Girl is he gets to have, you know what I'm saying? They both get to have
yeah.
this lovely sort of chapter together.
Absolutely.
On the other side of that, more than anything that she was already, is now officially Daisy is a daughter to her in so many ways. And
And that's not going to end. And you know what? That's mirrored in life. I went to see the first night of a musical that Sophie, who plays Daisy, is in, right the front row, beaming like her mother. She calls me Telly Mummy. I don't know if you know that.
oh no, I don't, but thank you for that.
And honestly, occasionally I could see my face going. I mean, it was ridiculous. I just adored everything she did because I think she's fantastic. I've got
And she is.
such respect for her. By the way, that's why this storyline went in this direction. What Julian, the writer, noticed was that we did have an incredible connection. And we have the same sense of humour. And so he, being the good writer that he is, he took that and thought, well, maybe it would be interesting to create a bond.
Exactly. Another thing I think is interesting is Mrs. Patmore, she's leaving in 1930, and that's a very pivotal moment in just the historical context. The advancements are happening, and the cook that Daisy will be for Downton Abbey is going to be very different
yes.
than the cook that Mrs. Patmore
And
was.
that's as it should be. And what's great, I think, is that Mrs. Patmore really, all you see is you see her watching her nodding, going, yeah, she's going to be great.
Hurry up. Yes, Mrs. Parker. There's lots to do. I'm relying on you. Now, quarter the melon. Right away.
She doesn't want to interfere, unlike Carson having difficulty
Yeah.
handing down the reins to Andy.
Mr. Parker has just started.
This is the butler. So you've retired now, Mr. Carson?
Well, you wouldn't think it from the time he spends here.
I think she probably is coming to terms with the fact that her time's done and it's okay.
Yeah.
Because actually, thank goodness, she's got a future ahead of her in a very different way. So she has no problem saying, this is your time and you're ready. And it's partly because I've trained you, of course.
Our lives are lived in chapters, and nothing's wrong when a chapter is done and a new one begins. It's your time now, and I'm prouder of that than anything. You're the daughter I never had.
I'll treasure those words.
There's one character who's been right by Mrs. Patmore's side from the very beginning, Daisy. Next, Sophie McShira, who plays Daisy, tells us how she feels about stepping into her new role at Downton Abbey.
In this film, Daisy is sort of working up to taking over from Mrs. Patmore.
Daisy's cooking dinner tonight, and by tomorrow morning I'll have retired as well.
So bring your complaints to me. But she's queen of the kitchen, almost. She started the series a million years ago as a complete wreck and a bag of nerves. But she is pretty confident. She's grown quite a lot. But also, I think even Mrs. Patmore says, she's got this. Like, you do not need to worry about Daisy. And obviously there'll be nerves, but I think she knows what she's doing.
Can I do anything to help?
Everything's under control. And I've enjoyed myself. It's been a while since I cooked for the family. And that was with Mrs. Patmore in charge. I think there's this sense of change, and there's this development of people moving up in the house, in the structure, which is sort of bittersweet for me and my character, because it's the losing of Mrs. Patmore from the house is so strange that Daisy will now be taking over from Mrs. Patmore. It's sort of hard to get your head round, but then there's this sort of beautiful thing where when you think of what our character started as, I think it's a lovely thing that we've got to work together for 14, 15 years and explore a story over such a big amount of time. And you get to see that that journey, and it's so lovely.
Oh, thank you, Daisy. This looks delicious.
To Mrs. Patmore.
To Mrs. Mason.
And while Mrs. Patmore was happy to let Daisy take the reins, Mr. Carson has a harder time letting go. Here's Mr. Carson himself, Jim Carter. I'd be interesting if you could preview for folks a little bit where we find Mr. Carson in this iteration. This is a very different place we find him in this final chapter.
Yeah, finally, he's finally retiring. I think he retired before, but sort of was tempted back. I mean, it didn't take a lot of tempting.
Very Godfather-like, pull me back in, really.
I mean, anyone less likely to be able to retire gracefully than Carson. I mean, he lives for this family. He lives for be part of Downton Abbey. He's part of the fabric of the building. So we find him practically on the eve of his retirement, but then we find out that, of course, he's hopeless at being retired and keeps coming back and pestering and sticking in his nose. And in 20 years' time, he'll be behind Andrew, Mr. Parker, go, oh, not those, no, that's not clean. No, put the knife there. So, he can never give up, really. So, actually, we don't see that much of him with Mrs. Hughes in this, do we?
A little bit less, yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone will be looking forward to maybe eventually him finding a place in his retirement. But there is really a changing of the guard with Mr. Parker, sort of being reluctant about that. But I think there's also bits of tenderness with it because he's seeing the other things that are happening around him. And so it kind of gives him the courage to let go.
Yeah. No, that's... You are good at this, aren't you? My God, you've watched it, you've remembered it, you've thought about it, and I feel really stupid because I don't know if I detected any of that.
Well, you did it. I just watched what you did.
Yeah, but I do it, but I don't remember it. I mean, So.
Well, you're quite good in it. Can I say that?
Now keep going. Yes, here we go. Now we're into the meat of it, of course. No, I mean, it's funny because Michael Fox, who joined in Series 5, as a nervous young footman, he's edged his way up and finally become the butler. And I think Mr. Carson approves of Andrew Parker because he's a good, solid person. And there's a lovely moment at the end where, having finally relinquished the reins, then Mr. Parker says, oh, please come through the front door. And only the aristocrats get to use the front door. So that's a kind of a nice touch. That's the moment where the baton is really passed.
Thank you.
Just as Mrs. Patmore turned over the reins to Daisy, Mr. Carson does so with Andy Parker, played by Michael Fox.
The house is changing, evolving, like with every year. And because there's less servants now, because the house is moving and evolving, he has to do almost his footman responsibilities and his responsibilities as a butler. So he's about to step up to become the main man, to become the butler. So, for him it's huge. He's been in the house learning his craft, learning his trade, and for someone from his background to be a butler of a house like Downton is a huge, huge honour and responsibility, and it's really like the pinnacle of where he could end up in service. I would like to thank you, Mr. Carson. You've taught me so much, and I hope one day I'll be a worthy successor. I think he wants Mr. Carson's approval. So I think that, in a sense, is pressure. But I don't know if Carson is ready to hand over the reins completely. So it could be any... I don't think it's specifically Andy he doesn't trust, but I just think he doesn't trust anyone else to run the house how he would run it, to his exacting standards. So there's a good little bit of friction.
How do you feel about your imminent promotion, Andy?
I feel ready. I've served my years before the mast.
I only hope you're right.
Andy wants to take on his responsibilities, but he's got a guy who's maybe not as willing to hand it over to him. So I think it's an interesting, conflict there. But Andy's more than ready. He's ready to go. He's done enough raspberry coulis pouring. He needs the keys now. Mr. Carson, can I help?
Yeah, I've been thinking about these Lamoury candlesticks. His lordship likes to see them on the table.
We often use them.
And you clean them with soap and water, not those awful creams they keep coming up with now.
Everything is done as you would have it, Mr. Carson.
Then I shall sleep more easily. Well, that sounds like
Lady Hexam.
This episode is brought to you by Story Rabbit. Downton Abbey swept us away with its grandeur and intrigue, but behind the screen, the real locations hold centuries of history. The Story Rabbit app puts those stories in your headphones, bringing castles, English manners, and iconic sites around the world to life through audio. Wherever you are, Story Rabbit helps you uncover the true stories hidden all around you. Download the Story Rabbit app today or go to storyrabbit.app for more info and uncover the true stories hidden all around you. While Mrs. Patmore and Mr. Carson are each facing bold new chapters, another mainstay below stairs, Anna Bates, is navigating her own new chapter with quiet strength and resilience.
Right. I think that's everything, milady.
I sat down recently with Joanne Froggatt to hear how Anna adapts to the changing times in the grand finale. Talk a little bit about how the film has become a little bit more modern and how Anna deals with it and how Mary deals with it.
Well, what's wonderful about Julian Fellowes' writing is that he's always written such strong female characters. So in his period drama, you know, the women are as strong as the men, if not stronger. You know, the women sometimes are like Maggie. I mean, arguably has the best lines of, you know, I had the show and delivered them the best way, in the best way that anybody could.
Are you here for dinner, Mama? It's a buffet.
Well, I'm not changed.
We won't change either, so you just need to take off your hat.
You talk as if that were easy.
So I love that Julian, you know, very subtly sort of brings in the modern world. And, you know, actually, Anna, to be a working mother at that time was very unusual. And be working while she was pregnant, very unusual. That Lady Mary to be a woman taking over Downton, extremely unusual. You know, Lady Mary getting divorced. So, you know, I love that Julian sort of drives this subtle feminism through that is almost unnoticeable until you stop and look and you go, oh, actually, this is, you know, this is quite modern. This is quite forward thinking, and it's lovely to have that in the setting of Downton.
I mean, one of the things, too, that's happening is there is a literal changing of the guard. There's a changing of the guard between the different generations. There's even a changing, in a way, between where Bates and Anna find themselves in relationship to who they work for. What change do you think fans are going to be most, like, sort of surprised by or interested in this one? Because there's a few. I mean, we can preview a couple of names. Carson.
So Carson retires, but then Carson has retired a couple of times
I was just about to say it.
So I think that's probably why I'll give that one away, because it's probably not too much of a spoiler. Bless him, he can't stay away. He keeps coming back, or keeps being asked to come back.
Yes.
But yeah, there's big shifts, you know, like a few of the, you know, original members of the downstairs household are retiring and leaving, or leaving for pastures new. And the new age is taking over. So it does feel like a sort of tidal wave of, sort of gentle wave, actually, of shift and change that's coming through the house. And it's sort of starting from the bottom and moving all the way up to the top.
If Lady Mary does take over, will she want her parents to move out?
You'll have to ask her.
You mean you're not going to tell me? But is that right? Should wives have secrets from their husbands?
Definitely. But not the other way around.
As Downton ushers in a new era, no one feels the weight of change more than Cora and Robert Crawley. I chatted with Elizabeth McGovern and Hugh Bonneville recently to hear how their characters navigate the shifting tides and what it means to pass the torch to a new generation. With Robert, he's so committed to the changing of the guard. He has a crisis of his own faith in it because of Mary's divorce, how things are getting really splintered a little bit. So talk about that for you, because I think Robert was in a better place with Mary prior to these events.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think even at the end of the TV show and going into the movies, there was constant talk about handing over the reins, handing over the reins, handing over the reins. And then in the second film, you really felt that was about to happen, or was in the process of happening. But yeah, the brakes have been put on, because with this divorce, well, he even goes to ask his old pal, Mr. Carson, for advice.
Have you come to discuss Lady Mary?
You're ahead of me, as usual. And you'll know Lady Mary thinks it's time that I hand over.
Her ladyship agrees, and so I suspect does Lady Hexam. More surprisingly, maybe I do too.
But do you?
He does wonder now whether to keep the engine of Downton going, if Mary's a pariah, a social pariah, is that going to affect the estate? And that's what he cares about ultimately. Of course he cares about his family, but really that whole thing of doing the duty, doing the right thing by the estate and handing it on in the best position possible, he does question, is now the right time? Should I let it blow over for a couple of years and then hand over?
But now the moment's come.
You can't bear to relinquish the crown.
To look at Robert from a feminist point of view, the man whose entire identity is so bound up in his position. And then Cora, who's, maybe it's because of her money, but she has a more fluid identity. She can just be who she is under any circumstances. And I think that's something to remember when you're talking about the inequality of the sexes, is that it works both ways. For men, it's a bit of a prison as well as women. And so when women take over these roles of power, that shifts and it gives men a little bit more freedom to be, oh, I'm an okay person, even if I don't have this role, this position, this power, which is really liberating.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a good place to go to.
I mean, you have an incredible moment because you could tell Robert's kind of had it. Robert is being reluctant.
I have something to add. The missing detail in this is that we all, every one of us, loves you very much.
And like, he just so needed to hear that in that moment. And I think it speaks to y'all's dynamic and why. Yeah. Talk about that.
Well, I mean, I really appreciated that line because Cora kicks his ass a lot too. You know, she really does. But there's no reason not to reassure someone about your love for them, even when their ass needs to be kicked a bit.
a little bit. And he got it.
Yeah, he does.
I quite like it. For once, Robert wasn't entirely thick. And he actually was almost ahead, not ahead of you, but knew what you were up to, like with, the suggested final chapter of our story. That he's at least on the same page, he's not several pages behind. I rather like that I think Robert and Cora really are in unison, in harmony and unison.
And I love you.
That's what makes it all worthwhile.
My name's Michelle Dockery and I play Lady Mary Talbot. The last film, which was called A New Era, you could see the sort of beginnings of the changing of the guard at that time. And of course, with Violet's death, it was very much an end of an era, moving on to the next. So in some ways, this is the new era. We're actually in it now. And I think the reality of that for Robert is setting in. I think there's been a lot of talk about Mary taking the reins, but her not actually doing it just yet. And I think for Robert, he's still, they're all still grieving Violet, and, and I think Robert particularly.
Goodbye, Mama.
And there's a sort of reluctance for him to really pass the baton on. And Mary's just very patiently waiting for her father, for the penny to drop. Because with them, it's always been a little bit of a kind of tug of war at times, between who is leading. But I think this film is really about change, and you actually see the change happening.
I know you're not going back to Downton tonight with Mama. She said you want a second look at a house you've found for us all.
Not a house, a flat.
I might stay and come with you. Would you like that?
Very much. But please be open-minded. You can be when you try.
I will try. Very hard.
And a big thank you to all of my guests today. And be sure to check out Downton Abbey, the grand finale, only in theaters now. I'm Jacqueline Coley. This has been Downton Abbey, the official podcast. Until next time. To get new episodes one day early and for other Downton Abbey exclusives, be sure to sign up for free to be a Focus Insider at focusinsider.com. The Focus Features Experience Sweepstakes. See Downton Abbey, the grand finale, plus one more film to start earning rewards. Watch all 5 for a chance at the ultimate cinephile experience and invite to 2 Focus Features film premieres around the world. Downton Abbey, the official podcast, is a production of Focus Features and Treefort Media. I'm your host, Jacqueline Cole. From Focus Features, our executive producers are Angela Vesagas and Jocelyn Brown. From Treefort Media, our executive producers are Kelly Garner and Mary Chalenza. Our lead editor is Martin Applebaum. Our lead audio engineer is Matt Dyson. Our associate producers are Aidan Brooks and Jada Williams. Additional engineering provided by Jeff Neal and Anthony Laurie. Additional production support provided by Mia Fernandez and Gabriel Skolansky. Special thanks to Julian Fellows, Gareth Neen, Liz Trubridge, Carnival Films, Jam 96, PMA Film and TV, and Framework Studios.